what do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube, presented by Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. It is high school open house season. Do not attend a high school open house full of strangers and spoiled teenagers without first making a trip to Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com. Check out the location nearest you. Chances are, if you are in Michigan, there is one not far away. Great service, great quality. Again, pureoptions.com. Also feels like a day for Pure Options, the day after Bill Walton's passing. And also our Tuesday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Buttery soft and durable. Look great. Feel great. Unbelievable Father's Day gift. If you're looking for a great Father's Day gift right now, starting to think about what am I going to do for that dad, your husband, your brother, your son, whoever, yourself, go to gomuskox.com today and make that purchase. And if you use the Couch and the Rube promo code HOFF, HOFF, and get $15 off that flannel purchase. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Peacock.
Caw! Instead of boo, boo, caw.
What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
You too. Been a while.
Yeah. Feels like a real long time.
You hung out with my wife more recently than we actually saw each other.
Yeah, I think we both volunteered ourselves for Groovy Donuts. Had a little thing out at the Capitol here before when we took some time off. Yeah, it was obviously our wives outshined us.
Yeah.
My wife especially, because, that's what she does. She knew every one of the donuts, and, Andrew and Monica were like, holy shit. Should we hire her? Like, what's happening? And, of course, me, you have to tell me what to do, right? Yeah. So it was more of a hands-on thing. I was like, I just thought I was going to hand Andrew and Monica waters or something. But anyway, it was fun. It was a good time, and talking donuts and hanging out with people at the Capitol. People, by the way, people love free shit. There was people that at the end of the day we helped break down and everything, and we Treese took some donuts that were hanging out in the sun too long. They were just to show people what they were. They weren't really edible. 2 people followed her to the trash can and asked if they could have them.
That's sad.
Picking them out of the trash.
That's sad.
It's not sad, but it's but they didn't look like people that needed it. If you know what I'm saying.
Let me ask you this question: have you ever eaten a donut out of the trash?
I'm not saying not out of that trash. I wouldn't.
Out of any trash?
No, I can't say that I have. Now I know what you're going to go for here, the Costanza, the top of the trash thing. I would totally do that. I'm not above it. I'm talking about a public place. By the way, there was dog shit about a half foot away. Yeah. That someone, by the way, another person that's interesting to me is dog walking person who lets their dog take a shit in the middle of the Capitol in front of all these people, walks away without picking it up. So who are these people? Where are they from?
I got so much to get into right there. Number one, I'd like to say that I'm somebody who has not had a donut off the top of the trash.
You have,
but I have. Yeah. I mean, it's been in the box, but there have been a couple times, in my life where. First of all, before I met my wife, I never threw away a donut. So it never happened before that. But there were a couple times she's said, okay, we've had enough, and she's put the box at the top of the trash and then left.
Too many donuts,
I've been like, the hell is that?
Slaps them out of your hand.
Yeah. So
I thought we were cutting these in small pieces. That makes us feel better, right?
It was a great time. It was a great time with Andrew. I was out at the Lugnut Stadium the night before with Elizabeth, and same deal. I mean, I was useless other than being there for heavy lifting. Were you
promoting? See, I was telling people, because people were like, oh, I've heard about these donuts, and oh, my husband, he loves QD donuts. And I was like, forget the QD. I feel like I was helpful in that way, where I was promoting the donuts and kind of a hype man, if you will.
I'm great at customer service normally. I was a little thrown off because I would have been great dealing with the money, but because Andrew needed to use it. Right? At our place it was cash, but Andrew needed to use his phone for credit cards, so I couldn't really be the money person, and so I didn't get to shine. I don't think at my full capacity.
It's all right.
So to the dog thing, though, I think I talked about this before we went on break. the idea that, and this, I don't know if this is
People
a hot
are
take or
ass.
not, but this is, so I didn't like that somebody picked up their dog poop in a bag, that dog had pooped in our yard or nearby, picked it up in a bag and put it in our bin that's about to be picked up or had just been picked up.
Right.
My problem with that, number one, is don't do that. That's not your bin. That's not your trash. Number two, if you're going to do it, at least do it before the trash gets picked up, not when it's the first thing that goes in a garbage bin for the next week. So we
But
find
your trash stinks already.
we get a brand new garbage bin last week. Brand new. Excited. It's bigger. It's better. So I leave the other one out there. They pick it up. They put this beautiful blue bin out there. Never been touched. You could lick. You could eat donuts off it, right? First thing that went in it, some jackass's dog poop.
Yes. Who is this person?
I
They
don't
win
know.
a gift card.
I don't know. But the dog community needs to get together and understand this is your problem. If you see somebody do that, it's your responsibility to pull it out of there, even if it's not your dog, because that's the deal. If you're the dog walking community,
Yeah.
you
It's not your dog, not your dog's poop.
this
you
is
just witness it, is what you're saying.
this is the way I used to feel about smoking in bars. I didn't mind the secondhand smoke. I didn't mind any of that. I used to think that smokers, though, should collectively have to do the rest of our laundry. Like you leave it in a bag when you leave the bar. They do the laundry. You come back the next day, your jeans are ready. That should be
But
the
what
deal.
would you rather have them do? Leave it on your yard or
No,
put
pick it
I
up
don't-
and carry
it's a
it with
trash
you.
can.
Carry it with you.
Yeah, but you're a crazy person. Who likes a new, clean trash can? Who gives a shit? It's a nasty trash can
Nah.
that goes by your garage or wherever you have it. I listen. I don't think I've actually done that.
The
before
problem- it was
of
out- it
not
was-
dog poop, but I've used someone else's trash. It's sitting on. It's ready to get picked up. What do they care?
It's not cool. It's not cool at all.
So you're saying, hold on though. I just want to clarify
Yeah.
that if you witness this and you're a part of the dog walking community,
Correct.
I'm sure there's a Facebook group for that. That you have to, if you see someone put dog poop into your garbage can, that they should come get it and pull it out of there.
Correct.
I would like to hear the conversation with your neighbor.
This is where I
when
stand
you-
on this. I'm firm. And just
See,
don't do
but-
it. Don't do it after the trash has been picked up. It's pretty obvious. Don't have poop be the first thing that goes in, and especially this time of year where it's going to be hot all week. And don't have poop be the thing
Dude,
that.
someone walked their dog down the Capitol in front of all of these booths on both sides. There was booths on both sides of people, and they let their dog. I understand the dog was not going to let you know it can't speak English, but then when you see it, you have to go get something to come pick it up or take care of it, not just walk away. It's just crazy to me that people can have that kind of
Lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And just a lack of respect for.
I'm fascinated by it because it's got to be great living that way, but it's also just a complete dick move.
Yeah. No, entirely. It is. Well, it is. It is good to be back.
Yeah.
It was.
I missed you, like legit, man.
Yeah. Same.
I saw some
No.
of your tweets. I'm like, God damn, I miss Couch. I'll be sick of them by Wednesday, but you know.
One day it'd be good to be back.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I had a couple tweets that people didn't love. One specifically, just about.
How did I miss this one?
The one of Matt Vierling.
Oh,
So Matt Vierling hits a
Yeah,
game-winning
that's the
home run, and I immediately just tweet that he actually struck out. And I mean, this is one of my hot takes, so I'll just get into
let's
it here.
go. Because I'm with you on this.
I was just grumpy. So in my last, I went through my account history today. In my last 22 Tigers bets, all this season, I'm 5-17. And I'm getting pissed off about that. So they say the best that you can be as a team is good. The next best thing you can be is interesting. Ideally, you're both. But there is a third category, and that is to be bettable. And the Tigers are not fun enough to have any joy with them this year, nor are they reliable enough, bad or good, in any capacity, now that the bullpen's fallen apart, to bet. Like, they're actually just as likely to go over as under. Every time I bet an under, they go over. It's just, at this point, I'm off it. But I'm so annoyed that they have become irrelevant to me. The Tigers this season, I cannot watch it. I don't want to deal with them. 5-17 in the last 22 bets. Random as shit. They are the most random-ass team. They're not fun to watch. They're frustrating. And every time you think, well, at least if they're going to be shitty, I am going to profit off this. Then they have a day where they explode for a lot of runs, or their bullpen gives up 30 runs and they don't cover the under. So I'm just done. I'm done with the Tigers until they are something. They have to pick a lane and be something. Be reliable, be fun. I don't need to bet the Tigers. If they were enjoyable to watch, I would go that route. But I need them to be something, and right now they are a zero. They are a nothing, and right now I'm not gonna can't deal with it.
It is time for the Detroit Tigers gambling update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Lee.
I didn't want to jump in the middle of your tirade there because you're on such a heater, but yeah, you basically took exactly one of my hot takes on the Tigers. Because before the Matt Vierling walk-off home run, I did have a conversation with a friend where I said, I just don't think that they're going to be appointment television anymore. And by that, I mean, yes, when they do play, I look at what time it's on and I try to get in front of a TV or have Dan Dickerson on or in some fashion follow the game with updates or something if I have to. But then after the Vierling home run, I'm like, shit, maybe I'm back in. But then you're right. You can't gamble on the team. And they are really they're not fun to watch for the simple fact, and we've talked about it before, the fact that you just see Javi Baez out there and you see him have, if he goes for 4 for 5 one time in the month of fucking April or May or whenever, and then he has a streak of 2 weeks where he's complete ass, but you can't root for this guy on your team because you know if he has success, people are going to freak out. Everyone on Bally's loves Javi Baez for some fucking reason, and we're going to have to deal with him forever. So we want him to suck. So you have to root for one of the guys on your favorite team to suck. The Tigers are all over the place, whether they can score. They can go 2 games against the Marlins and not score a run. So I'm with you. But then it's like after the NBA Finals are over, I'm like, I don't know, what are we going to do?
Yeah, Euros. Soccer and Euros start right around then.
Well, know I'm not doing it.
You got a month of great European soccer, and that's where
I'll watch pickleball first.
That's where I'll be. I'm with you. It's just it's not fun. It's because I found myself, and the reason I sent out the Vierling tweet because there was a really bad ball. It was a ball that would have been a strike that was called a ball that would have been his second strike, and then so he might have struck out otherwise. It would have changed that at bat entirely. I was just annoyed because it seemed like a spot where you ought to be able to rely on the Tigers to get shut down, and then when they do fall behind, okay, I had some money on the live line. This is great. And then you can't rely on them for anything. You can't even take joy in their rare moments because they're not sustainable. That's not who they are. They're nothing. They're not anything. They have no identity. And they're not. If they were that fun all the time and they lost half their games, I'd be all for it. But they're not. They're usually not fun. They're usually frustrating. So I'm out. Is there anything worse though when you have a tweet and you like it and you send it, but there's a typo in it, like the autocorrect? Yeah.
Right. I see here your
thin
autocorrect sucks. So then you have to go back because you don't want to pay Elon to be able to edit this shit. So yeah,
it's the worst. Yeah.
So what was your other tweet that caught heat? I don't see it.
What was that one? That was
that was your great. That was the Vierling one.
No, the Vierling one.
Carlisle here.
Yeah, it might have been. So I don't.
It's so hard to find your tweets.
Yeah,
you got to go through this.
Maybe there's just one. It felt like more. All right, my second hot take, and I am writing a 3 quick takes column that should be up this evening. That'll get more into some of this with MSU football and the schedule and the Friday night games. So MSU football is playing 2 Friday night games next year. Neither one at this point is the opener. At Oregon, October 4th, and then November 22nd at home against Purdue. And the reaction to it was interesting. The reaction to it initially was mostly like, huge competitive disadvantage playing at Oregon 6 days after playing Ohio State. If this were a year where Michigan State had any shot of winning at Oregon, I would say, okay, howl away. Like that sucks. But that's not this season. They've turned over half the roster coming off a 4-8 year. Like that's not the issue this year. If and people are wondering, well, when will MSU get its favor back for moving a game and the Ford Field and
never
playing on a Friday? And maybe based on the Duke home basketball game that's never come this way, maybe it'll never happen. But this is not when you want to use your favor. You don't use it this year. And I'm not sure they have any ability to use the favor anyway. Like, to me, one of the things Alan Haller said to me a couple weeks ago was part of the reason this opener isn't on a Friday night this year, at least yet, is because it's much more the TV networks, part of the new deal. They're getting a lot more money. It's money they need. This is when you play, and we're going to tell you, and you're going to do it. And they've lost some of the control, some of the pushback. So that's just going to be something to get used to, and I think people are frustrated by that. But the bigger game I think I would be more frustrated by is the home game, November 22nd at 8 p.m. against Purdue, for 2 reasons. One, That's a more winnable game off 6 days rest off a game at Illinois. And then you've also got an 8 p.m. game on a Friday night at Spartan Stadium in late November before you're home in the final week after Thanksgiving. You talk about crowds that might not be great and kind of a sputtering end of the season. That's the one that should sting. The Oregon game, it's not great because there's a bye after the Oregon game. Like, it'd be one thing if you got the extra day coming back from Oregon before playing Iowa and you thought, well, that's the only game they might be able to win in October. So that's – I think there's a lot of frustration overall that has more to do with the changing world of college sports. The loss of control of scheduling included, MSU football's sort of diminished place in the moment in that landscape. And I'll say this, it's not just MSU. UCLA and Oregon are both playing multiple games on Friday nights as part of that Fox national TV package. But I do understand. It just feels like the loss of something that you loved. Why would you take it away from Saturday? Everything's changing, and this is just another thing. And so I get the initial frustration. I just think worrying about Oregon on 6 days rest this particular season is not something I would worry about.
How many Friday games are there?
The Michigan State?
Yeah.
Two.
So I don't think
one home, one road.
I don't think it's that big of a deal personally, but I don't go to all of the games. I don't know if it affects people in that way, but I kind of like the Friday night. Now it comes from a little bit of a passion for you because you're going to have to work till about 3 in the morning or whatever.
6 in the morning. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to slight you 3 hours. 6 in the morning. So I can understand that there's some venom coming from you for that aspect. But I got to say, as a fan, I don't know. I kind of like a Friday game here or there. That way I can focus on Saturday for other games, right?
Sure. There are advantages to it. Even the Friday night late home game won't affect high school football much because that's late in the year. That's just before the finals. Most games are on Saturdays then anyway. It's not like that in this particular instance is going to be the issue. It does affect tailgating and people, who want to get together with their friends, and it affects things. And it also, 8 p.m. in late November is usually a lot worse than 1 p.m. Or can be just a lot less pleasant. So there are things that suck. It sucks. The overall experience that people love about college football is the Saturday afternoon game. And to lose that, I do wonder now if more people would prefer leaving the opener on a Saturday just because you've already got a Friday game somewhere else and you want as many of these Saturdays as you can have, and that may be what winds up happening anyway. It's Michigan State was not part of the initial schedule for that opening weekend. It's possible, like BTN's package, when that comes out, Michigan State could still be there. There could be something else for them, Peacock or whatever, and Michigan State could still open on a Friday night. But as of right now, those are the two Friday night games. I understand the frustration. But I don't think the initial complaint about the Oregon game being a gross disadvantage is all that relevant to this particular.
Was that Jim
year.
Comparoni that started that?
No, there were just a number of people, and I get the initial what, but it's and I'm not worried. Look, I don't mind working all night a few times a year. It's not that big a deal for me. I think it sucks for people who, and the road game is a much less big deal than the home game for most fans because they're not going to make that trip. I do think the Big Ten needs to be a little careful on all college football. Not that many people are going to make that trip, but a lot of things are already booked at this point. Like, this is almost early enough to do it, to say you're okay and being responsible. A month from now, it's too late. People have already booked hotels. People have already booked flights. You can't be changing that shit unless you're going to reimburse a lot of things and help with logistics and whatever you need to. You got to have a little more respect for your fans. But I would say getting it done by May, if people come to expect that those sort of movements of games are done by the end of May, that's fair enough. What is your next hot take?
Well, rest in peace, Bill Walton, right?
Yeah.
That really hit me hard yesterday. We were on the golf course, and Andrew's like, yeah, Bill Walton died. I'm like, what? 71 of cancer? Did he ever announce that he had it? Did he talk about it? Of course not, because Bill Walton's a legend, and that's how he handles things. I don't know. I heard Dan Patrick talk about him this morning, and it was just interesting watching people on Twitter. I don't know if we can change this, but the tributes to Bill Walton, which usually involve the people that are tweeting out whatever with a picture of themselves with Bill Walton, like, all right, we get it. You're going to throw yourselves into the mix. I just find it very interesting when people remember back, like Pete Gillen. I saw Bill Walton in Hawaii last November and spoke with him for a while. He was doing TV, and I was with Coach Dave Odom doing a basketball clinic for about 100 boys and girls from Maui whose homes were damaged or destroyed by a terrible fire. Great personality, great guy, fun. R.I.P. It's like, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Just say R.I.P. But also, the other thing that affected me over the weekend, too, Grayson Murray, the PGA Tour, 30 years old. Parents said it was a suicide. Friday round, he was on the 16th hole, decided to withdraw, said he was done, and the news comes out that he killed himself. So that was just two bummer stories. Sorry to bum everybody out, but just rest in peace to both those guys. Bill Walton, I know people, and another thing that bothers me, too, is younger people like, oh, I didn't know Bill Walton was such a great player. Like Dan Patrick's like, I was telling my son about Bill Walton. Like, dude, there's YouTube, there's everything. Please look up some of these guys and see how great some of these guys were. But I'm going to miss Bill Walton on some of the games because he would drive people nuts going on and on about things. And they would be doing some Pac-12 game at midnight, So rest in peace, Bill. Rest in peace, Grayson Murray.
It's yeah, I mean, a couple things with the Walton thing. Well, with the Grayson Murray thing, I mean, it's
brutal.
That yeah, and I mean, I know there are people wondering if anything could have been done, and you just obviously check on people anytime you think somebody's in a real bad spot. But I don't know that you can always prevent.
Check in on people no matter what.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sucks with Walton. Couple things. I mean, first of all, the dream in life should be to be remembered the way Bill Walton's being remembered right now, because that means everybody loves you.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people are making it about them because everybody on Twitter has to have their own Bill Walton thing or R.I.P. Bill Walton.
And some of them are great,
Yes.
But it's just like every single,
If you didn't have an actual relationship with him, but I will say this: part of that's because people remember how you make them feel, and Bill Walton made people feel great when he was around him. And so if you had a small exchange, it's, it's memorable and it was fun and it was usually good, and like, I don't know. Yeah, Bill Walton was a treasure, and you're right. I mean, he might have been the best player in the NBA for a year or two in the late 70s.
Especially in college basketball, definitely one of the top big men of all time in college hoops, and injuries sidelined his NBA career and all that. But yeah, like his brutal back injuries that he had. And thought about like committing suicide. That's why his book, Back from the Dead, he talks about all that stuff. So,
yeah.
It's just a guy like an open personality like that that's vulnerable that you can relate to. And like you said, every time that he talked to someone or was doing an interview, the smile was on your face if you like Bill Walton. I know people were, annoyed by the way he would go on and on sometimes, but yeah, it's wild that you could keep something like cancer a secret or to yourself and something like that, and then all of a sudden we find out like you pass away. So it's wild.
I feel like there's a Pure Options live read, but when somebody dies, you feel.
You know what? And Dan Patrick was saying like Bill Walton would be mad if you remembered him with either tears or sadness. Talk about the good times and stuff like that. And I'm sure Bill Walton would be happy with a Pure Options read.
Yeah. Well, and the great stories that Rick Carlisle was telling him how he chipped in to help Rick Carlisle with his first, the coach of the Pacers, with his first date with his wife when he wanted to go to a Grateful Dead show. And he just said, go to the back of the arena and ask for this guy and tell him who you are. And they had passes already made up for Bill Walton and Bill Walton's wife apparently at every Grateful Dead show. There's there in case he shows up. And so Rick Carlisle and his wife on their first date got to be them and got to be on stage. And the stories different people tell, I mean, of just who he was and is amazing.
And the ESPN documentary that came out, I think it was last year. Was it last year when it came out? Definitely give that a watch. It's like a 3-part series that's kind of an awesome tribute.
The lesson here is be like Bill Walton, go to Pure Options.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying that marijuana was everything that made Bill Walton who he was. It certainly wasn't. But Bill Walton was not an ass. He was a great man, and he was a man who enjoyed a place like Pure Options. And Pure Options can help bring out the Bill Walton in you. Go to pureoptions.com. I feel a little wrong reading that, but Bill Walton would appreciate it. All right, so my third hot take. Our dear friend Jack Ebling had Lorenzo Guest on his show. Lorenzo Guest, the strength and conditioning coach for the Michigan State basketball team. And he mentioned that Xavier Booker has put on 20 pounds and is now like 245.
Uh-oh.
A couple things. One, I'm doing the math here. Something's not adding up. I don't think it's 20 pounds since So Booker last year in the middle of the year said he put on 20 pounds, and he looked like he put on some good weight. I mean, it wasn't like sloppy anywhere. He just looked stronger in certain places. But I thought he was like 240 back then. Like, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to go back and do the math. He did not begin last season at 205, okay? So he didn't go 20 to 225, and now I don't. Something's off. Something's amiss. He's not going to come back looking like peak Arnold Schwarzenegger here, putting on 40 pounds in like 7 months. I don't think that. I mean, I can tell.
Are you saying Lorenzo was on Jack's show and just kind of maybe embellished by 5 or 10 pounds?
Well, I don't. It depends on
what are you trying to solve here, TMZ?
From what point did I don't. Look, I can
get
tell
Solari
you
on this.
I can tell you how to put 40 pounds on in 6-7 months. I've done it. It doesn't take some commitment, but you can. All of Fred Human. Fred knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh shit!
But I do. The point of this is not to shit on the math and to question this, but it does. Xavier Booker is going to become, and already is, the most intriguing player of this offseason going into next season. Because, and we've talked about this before, because of his sort of high ceiling and what he can become, and probably he's the pro on the roster, obviously, the guy that if he has the year that he wants to have, the NBA will look at. His skill set is suited for the NBA as a big man in a lot of ways. But he also potentially solves a lot of problems for Michigan State that people have been worried about. If he is indeed 245 pounds now, or whatever he is, if he plays next year at 6'11", 245, and he has the strength to help defend fives and be a presence in the middle and give them more flexibility with how they use their other bigs and what they do, and all of a sudden, your big man situation is solved in a lot of ways. 245, 6'11", sophomore who can shoot threes, play the 4 or the 5 for you. I think that's a really good place. Now, there have been lots of people who have been hyped over the summer who haven't lived up to things. Sometimes it's an injury. Sometimes it's just
Liz Frank.
Sometimes it's just not quite who they actually are. But we've seen sort of the upside of Xavier Booker. And if he's put on a true another 20 pounds of actual muscle, whatever the total might be, that becomes a very intriguing player. And what I am curious to see, and we didn't get to see it last year, is that Jackson Kohler, Xavier Booker tandem together. And if Booker is able to deal with guys athletically in ways that maybe somebody like Jackson Kohler can't, but the way they play off each other is two offensive-minded guys. There's some potential if their offensive creativity and willingness to go places they haven't gone as an offense, and I think they were for a while last summer, at least to try it through Kohler. I think there's some potential for a really fun front court. Now, whether that's enough to stop what happened against Indiana and happened against North Carolina, and there were a number of games where they just weren't good enough in the paint defensively. They couldn't hold up there. We'll see. But I think there's a chance for a really fun, interesting front court. And Booker is the key to that. He really is, because he's the upside. He's the pro. And I think that's when you hear things like he's at 245, he's put on 20 pounds. That
you took exception to that.
I just started doing the math in my head because I remember talking to him after he put on the first 20 pounds. I'm not sure when. I'm not saying Lorenzo Guess is wrong, but I'm not sure he knows when the previous 20 pounds ended and this one began. Maybe Lorenzo is speaking, overall. I don't know. I'm very curious about. He was not 205 last year at the beginning of the season. I don't think. So I'm curious. Just wondering about the math a little bit. But I don't question that he's 245. I don't question he's put on good weight. I don't question all of that. I just, somebody who does a little bit of funny math with their wife, with their fix that post, with their weight, especially when I'm doing like life insurance forms. Oh
man, I miss doing this show so much.
All right, what's your last?
God damn it. Speaking of legends, Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's getting paid to go away. And I've always said, if someone can get paid to not do their job, you're a hero of mine. But how about 10 years? By the way, how long have we heard that Angel Hernandez is one of the worst umpires of all time? 10 years? 15 years? So what does that say about the umpires union? that they had to finally, because this wasn't an easy thing that they had to do, break him off and tell him to get the F out.
He's been awful for a long time.
Because the baseball unions are really some of the toughest ones out there, right? And for Major League Baseball to get the umpire union to get rid of this guy. I mean, what's next? Carlos Monterrez gone? Am I right?
What's amazing with Angel Hernandez is I don't think anybody has ever thought he was a really good umpire.
No one. Ever.
And
there's guys, there's analysts that are on TV that say glowing things about fucking. I think he would go on Bally's and he would still take shit, right? So guys sit there and critique him all over the place.
There are lots of good reasons for unions in this world, but when you have these situations where guys like that last as long as they do, it defeats the argument and the purpose a little bit.
Again, a wise man once told me never talk about unions in public. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just saying they are impressive the way they can get someone like Angel Hernandez by to get paid. Statistically, when you're one of the worst umpires of all time in every category or whatever, it's like...
Who was the wise man?
Actually, a guy named Doug Makala.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's Jordan's dad.
Okay.
He gives good info.
Yeah. Apparently so, yeah.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, no, it's definitely people on all sides of that. I am somebody who's... I like in newspapers. There are lots of... If you work in this business, there are lots of reasons to want to be part of a union.
Yeah.
I have also witnessed a lot of millennials in unions spending 30 hours a week whining about their corporate overlord and 10 hours a week working. And it's like, okay, let's you got to put in the 40 and then you can whine on your own time. But that's my own take on that. All right, let's are you ready to dig into these listener hot takes?
Of course, man.
All right,
Dominic up first. And says, well, it's about fucking time. Number one, Jason Celtic updates were clutch. Delta One gave me braised beef short rib, a reclining seat, and 2 non-union Hawaii spa workers. But I'll be damned if they had access to ESPN. Hashtag thanks, Rube. 2, Bill Walton brought us all a ton of joy and edible giggles. Sad he's gone. And 3, the fact that no adult in the room is telling Biden that him and Hillary are the only 2 people on earth who would lose to Trump is insane. Yet here we fucking are. Hashtag Freeburg DeMarco 2024. Oh, shit. Sorry. Bonus, watch Tulsa King with Sly Stallone on Paramount Plus. Just the right amount of action, sex, and drama to get a thumbs up from me on the Jake Hawkins wants you to watch this show.com.
Appreciate you, Dominic. What were your Celtics updates?
Well, I was at a wedding, and I was watching it on my brother-in-law's phone.
Yeah.
And I know he's a Celtics fan. I know he's in Italy, or he was on a plane. I just was texting him about the game, and apparently he told me about the update, so I was just texting him what was happening as fast as I could get it.
I saw there was like a puppet giving at the wedding at the altar. What was going on? But you had quite a few MGs going at that point.
Well, it's a wedding.
Yeah.
And when I say 80 MGs, I stagger. I don't just take a ball of 80 MGs. It's up to that point. It starts at a certain point where you kind of have to stagger them out. You can take 40 MGs at a time. Anyway, it's a process. When I say 80 MGs, it's kind of just to let you know where I'm at. But yes, it was my sister-in-law, whatever. That shit gets weird. But it was a beautiful wedding, and all of a sudden during the ceremony, because Tree sat over, she wanted to sit in the sun, so I sat by myself in the shade, and of course the 80 MGs is starting to settle in, and all of a sudden during the whole thing, the lady doing the what do you call those people?
Officiant.
The officiant busts out she tells a story about how she used to tell Nikki, the bride, about stories with a puppet. And then she busts out a puppet that's a rabbit. And I'm like, dude, I start looking around, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. So she starts doing this bit, and she does the thing where it's talking to her, like, what's that? I'm sorry, what's that? And I'm looking around, and no one's like, it's bombing. It's bombing hard. And I'm like, wait, no one fucking knew about this? So it goes on. It's like an oatmeal story. It was like a cute story, but dude, she went back to the bit, and then so anyway, she's a quirky, very nice lady outside of it. Talk to her, she's very fun. I would love to hang out with her. But yeah, it was and come to find out, we asked around, and No one had any idea that she was going to do that.
The puppet. Yes.
The puppet. So
if you're going to do something, I've officiated 2 weddings at this point in my life.
And you did a great job. I was at one
appreciate
of them.
that. But you know what I didn't do? Bring out a puppet without telling the bride and groom.
And T goes, do you think Graham would do? I go, absolutely fucking not.
No.
Not a chance in hell. Unless the bride and groom talked to him about it.
And they wanted it specifically.
Beforehand.
Yeah. You don't. If you do anything that's, you don't have to. Like, I didn't want the bride and groom to have the script, so to speak, because I want it to feel genuine.
Sure.
But by the same token, you're not going to surprise them with something they didn't ask for.
Can I say, though, this is a family friend that they've known for a while, and I feel like you should have known that possibly something was going to come.
The puppet was going to happen.
I wouldn't go puppet. I've never seen a puppet at a wedding.
Yeah.
That I remember anyway. So, yeah, so that was thank you to Pure Options for making that even more enjoyable.
That is a story almost worth telling, but also worth telling. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. That's like most of my stories. In downtown Lansing, Midtown Brewing Company, a great place for Tuesday night trivias. Underrated patio, fantastic, right there on Washington Avenue. If you want to eat outside, enjoy the sun, have a drink, have a lunch. Great place for brunch on the weekends, to watch a Tigers game if you can stomach it. Whatever it might be, go to midtownbrewing.net. Check out their outstanding menu.
I knew Dominic's pain because being on a plane to Mexico, or where was that? No, on the way home from Mexico, having to watch the Tampa Bay Lions playoff game. And then, getting on the plane and they announced that, oh, yeah, we're not going to be able to turn the TVs on for like an hour and a half till we get over like Dallas or something. I was like, oh, God.
I saw a picture on Facebook of Dominic holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Nice.
So that was impressive. Good work, Dominic.
Yeah, it almost makes me want to get back on Facebook.
Almost.
No, not really. David Jackson next. This MSU football season has a chance to keep my affection, but we're in a danger zone. 23 transfers and 21 freshmen is too many newcomers, more than half the roster. If this is the new normal, then college football will lose me. I'm the unluckiest guy to feel this way, but it is what it is.
I think unlikeliest, but close.
Unlikeliest.
What
did I say?
Unluckiest. Same deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean we'll see if that's what happens if that's what's happening year after year, well into the Jonathan Smith era, then it's a discussion to have. I think in year one, especially this day and age, you're likely to have a lot of turnover. So 21 freshmen is pretty standard. I don't think that's anything new. It's the 23 transfers. So if that is, you want that number in today's college football, if you can keep that number to like 7 to 10 every year, guys who just aren't playing and want to be on their way out, and 7 to 10 you're adding, I think that's probably a healthier number. But, yeah, this is a lot. And, you just got to sort of dive into the new area, embrace the new quarterback, and, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I'm sorry.
Pure Options. MSU basketball has the second highest ceiling of any team in the Big Ten next year, only trailing Indiana.
So Illinois' got like nobody on their roster. I mean, they've got some people, but Illinois we'll see where they actually wind up. Indiana has definitely a high-end roster, but a team you can't trust yet. I think you might there's an argument for it. MSU certainly has a lower floor, too, than maybe some other teams or than it usually has. But, MSU never seems to hit that floor, too. That's one of the things you are able to sort of count on with Izzo. Yeah, I think MSU basketball is an incredibly intriguing roster next year. It'll be fun to cover. And what did I call it? People got a little backlash on. I said it's not expectations, but a hope that Eric Schultz is going to kill me for that one. But it's a hopeful roster, not one that's yet deserving of expectations.
DMB next. Alan Haller is growing into his role and is exactly what MSU needs right now. Izzo will have his own legacy, but Haller's will depend on Coach Smith winning and staying.
So I'm a little torn on this. I do agree that athletic directors are largely determined by the success of football coaches. And Alan Haller has said that, and he said this is the last football coach he'll hire. But I also think there is a chance that your legacy, say Jonathan Smith doesn't work out at Michigan State or does and leaves or whatever it is, the football program does not get to where people want it to be. It winds up being middling 7-5 type teams, and people aren't happy. And he was just sort of a solid meh hire, and that's what it winds up being. That'll be partly on Alan Haller, for sure. There is also, I think, though, it can be more layered, more multifaceted in the sense that if a lot of other programs are really humming along, if all of a sudden Michigan State, say, has a top 10 women's basketball program, a volleyball program that's in the NCAA tournament year in and year out, and a women's soccer program that's winning big, and gymnastics is rolling, and hockey sustains what it's doing now, and these were largely Alan Haller hires and they're doing things in sports they weren't doing before him. I think people will think of him. The job is partly to make football go, but people will think of him fondly in certain respects, regardless. I mean, he's doing things that previous athletic directors hadn't done in those other sports, and I think people have noticed.
Bo McJunkin's next. COVID basketball scheduling, moving a game to Ford Field. Rutgers refusing to move their schedule after the shooting. Now 2 Friday games. Next time this conference asks us to do something, Haller should tell them to go F themselves. When's that favor coming back around?
Yeah, this gets to that, and I've heard this from a number of people. I think at some point MSU should probably say when the favor happens, because the favor could happen behind the scenes and you don't even know it. The favor could be,
right. It's like Haller's going to come out and talk about it like that.
Right. There could have been a 3rd Friday game, or they could have wanted this, and they're like, hey, we really don't want that this year. All right, you know what? That's good. And the favor really was NBC and the Big Ten last year, so maybe next time it's with NBC and the Big Ten. Who knows what the actual favor is. We may never see it, but granted that people are sort of hoping for it and expecting it. It wouldn't be the worst thing to point it out at some point if that happens.
Andrew Zuiza next. R.I.P. Bill Walton. We've lost a potential Pure Options customer, and we'll never know if the Big Ten is the new Conference of Champions.
So I don't know if Walton was with ESPN, right? He was not with Fox. Was he with Fox?
Was he like a free agent, though, that could do different places?
That's true. They might have gotten him on Fox. He might have done Big Ten games or the Big Ten games out there or something. Yeah, no,
because that thing's kind of opened up in the last 5 years. Like the ESPN doesn't really care if you do certain other things.
Well, certain guys, yeah,
right.
And Walton might have been able, and they don't have the Pac-12 anymore, so they wouldn't have used him anyway. I didn't know it was coming. It would have been kind of cool to see him around the Big Ten, because the thing I've always said about Bill Walton as an announcer is he's fun to listen to when it's not your team, and it's okay to listen to when it's your team once in a while. I don't know if I'd want him if it was my team all the time, because it's a less serious broadcast. But if he's doing like Big Ten,
who do you want, Bill Walton?
If he's doing Big Ten games, if he's doing Big Ten games out west, that wouldn't have been so bad. It would have been a game here and there for your team. It would have been kind of fun to have, and everybody likes him.
Izzo's no longer got to go next. Bake take. I took a 100-milligram gummy this weekend. Absolutely drooling on dysfunctional. How the living hell did Jason not create the wedding gaffe of a lifetime with 80? Well, it helped that there was a lady with a rabbit puppet, so whatever I was going to do.
When you were looking around going, this is going to be amazing, like, was everybody else in the same boat, or was that the MGs talking?
I was looking over towards Tree. Well, I was the ADMGs, but I was laughing anyway of what was happening. I mean, I don't know. But it was just amazing that I was watching this. You see, like, those kind of things happen on Twitter or something, or right? It doesn't happen to a wedding you're at. But, yeah, like I said, I don't take them all. I try to stagger it out is what I'm saying. A joint in the morning or something when I wake up, and then, you 20 MGs, and then, I don't know.
Was it the worst officiant you've ever had?
No,
You've seen?
Dude, I loved it. What are you talking about?
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
It wasn't my wedding. I don't think she didn't ruin the wedding, technically. I mean, at least in my eyes. I can't really think of another terrible one. I mean, there's been some terrible, like, speeches at the reception and stuff I've heard, but definitely not anything that's gone that kind of sideways. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to take 100 MGs, like, believe me, if I took 100 flat and just, it would definitely hit me pretty hard. So you got to just kind of stagger it, I guess. Some dude next. A few years ago, I was watching an MSU Hoops broadcast with Bill Walton doing the color, and I'm like, who's this guy doing the game with him? He was keeping it going, but also playing along with the madman. Of course, it was Jason Benetti. Became a huge fan of him then. Loved it when Walton would do a game. Who needs the same old stuff all the time, Rest in peace. And bonus, the Dan Dickerson, Joe Carter Tigers game on Roku was absolutely fantastic. On top of the 14-11 game, there was Graham. Then there was Graham's bullshit.
Sorry, some dude. Yeah, no, sorry. That was just me reflective on.
Was that gambling related? Though,
it was just frustration on the whole. Like, I'm not going to celebrate this team that can't. Yeah, it can't.
But
pick
it
a lane.
was gambling a little bit.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Yeah,
it was the culmination of 5-17 over 22 bets.
See,
and
that
I was
makes,
like, I'm done.
That makes more sense with your tweets. Is like, that's why I like to put in parentheses gambling related.
Yeah,
because it's a little crazy.
It's just not. I'm annoyed as.
This game was on Roku. What does that mean? I have a Roku TV.
So it's on the Roku channel at so you would have got it at 11 a.m. if you put it on the Roku channel, or 11:30 a.m. Yeah, and what was interesting is Benetti was then doing the radio broadcast on Sirius XM.
I heard
and
that.
Dickerson was on and I listened to both because I was traveling. Had a breakfast in Kalamazoo where I used to live, and was listening to the game on the way back, and then watched the end to my horror and frustration.
All right, Travis Maynard next. Number one, people misunderstand what Tom's die trying meant. It meant he's either going to get back to a deeper run his way or die trying. As in no quit. He's going to try his way until he no longer can. It never meant by any means necessary. It's by his means. So buckle up. Go green. 2, the news about Xavier Booker's weight gain is all we should be talking about. At 245 pounds, he matches Jaren Jackson's and Adrian Payne's playing weight. Izzo might have the last laugh with this group. After all, this is a significant development.
Yeah, we'll see. Because it's going to be about strength and ability to defend and instincts and rebounding. Rebounding is a big part of that. He was not a great rebounder for a guy his length last year. There were times you saw the potential for it. Like you'd see, I can't remember the specific game, but there was a game where he was just kind of scooping balls out of the sky. And it was like, oh, that's, his reach is something. Now, we'll see if he becomes a really good rebounder, that would go a long way towards helping MSU. To your first point, and I'm actually going to get into this and have gotten into this in a column that's going to go up tonight, because I've been thinking about the die trying thing a little bit. Is not really during my vacation, but over the last few weeks is this sort of statement that's become this mantra for Izzo and has been made fun of a little bit, and what he actually means by it. I don't think he's going to do it, his way or die trying. I don't think that's what he meant. But I do think he has certain sort of principles of things he's not willing to do and places he's not willing to go. And I believe he thinks he's doing what's best to create the best roster he can. Like, I think this is him die trying. I think him going out to get Frankie Fiddler is die trying. I think the way he coaches them next year, the way he manages the roster, what he does over the next several seasons, all of it is die trying.
Don't coach my team.
And but in the moment, why that statement's being mocked a little bit is understandable, because in the moment, Michigan State could not defend adequately good big men. And Izzo acknowledged the roster wasn't good enough and then said he was going to fix it or die trying. And he didn't fix what seemed obvious. And so that's why it's like, but I think to him, the definition, and perhaps it should have been probed more that day and will be at some point. I have reached out to Izzo a couple times, to be honest with you. He is not, he's not come back to me, and he always does. And I think some of that has to do with the first time it was right around the time they were adding a transfer. And I think he doesn't have the coaching situation settled. But or maybe he's just pissed at me. Who knows? I have no idea. Maybe he's listening to the show and he's like, fuck Couch and all those listeners.
And we said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Craig Molden next, longtime listener, first time commenting. I hate when Jaron Mangum did in the portal. You can go to any school but Michigan. I also hate the guy we got from Michigan. You can transfer anywhere but to the biggest rival. I had the same feelings about Ben Van Summeren when he transferred in. Fuck Michigan and all their players. I don't care if you didn't play a single snap. Don't want you on our football team.
This is something that people are going to have to get used to. And another thing that that I'm getting into in the column that's going up tonight is because I think that
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Like it is going to be it's going to be a more and this is something players need to be aware of too, though. It is a more transactional world, sure, but it is the passion and it is the rivalries that make college football what it is, and it's what allows these players to get paid. There is no money if there is no passion and there is no rivalries, and there aren't these fan bases that are this angry about these sort of things. So I totally get it. I just think it's going to happen more from time to time. It's so transactional now, and everything is so much in transition. You got so many guys leaving. You're going to see Michigan, Ohio State. You're going to see Michigan State to other Big Ten schools, Michigan included. And the players that played 10 years ago should hate it. They absolutely should respond how they did. Fans should hate it. What'll be very interesting is when you start to get into the actual locker rooms, how those guys feel about it. And this is a locker room that a couple years ago there was a tunnel fight between these two sides, right? And so now one guy is on the other team. Is that just the way it is now? And everybody understands this is a business. This is like NFL free agency, and there are really no rivalries. Nobody would, if you went Lions to Packers, would happen, and nobody would say boo about it. And maybe that's what Michigan State just is now, and that, however, is not good for the sport in the long term.
I think people are okay with a lot of things. It's the rival coming over from,
Yep.
I just think that's like one of the things that people are hanging on to. Like, come
it's a
on,
bridge too far.
Yeah,
yeah, in a moment,
do the players care? That's the thing.
In a moment when a lot's changing and there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of worry about whether we're just sort of losing what college sports was and what the teams that we cared about were, and all the dynamics in place that made college football and college basketball enjoyable. You get something like this, and I understand it. It feels like, well, wait a second, what? This? No. And because rivalries, look, the level of play, and players need to understand this. You're not that good. Some of you are, and you're better than a lot of people, but you're not that great. Like, you could create like if this was English football style where you had tiers, Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, all that stuff, you could create another tier or two of people in their 20s who were professionals below the NFL that would be better football than college football. In basketball, those leagues exist. In Europe, in the G League, I mean, those people all exist. What makes it work is the rivalries, is the passion. And so you're going to have to deal with the backlash if you're going to transfer and if you're going to annoy fans. And if you're going to do something like this, understand that you are going to deal with backlash. That is the reality of it, because you have broken a code for most fans within the sport.
G.E. Miller next. The latest NCAA settlement does nothing at all to resolve the Wild West we have right now. All it would do is add one additional pay source in the schools. NIL and portal remain unchanged. The degradation of college sports continues.
Yeah, I am a little interested in why everybody thinks that, like, collectives are dead with the settlement, with the NCAA settlement in the House case, and I understand I don't even understand why they think they can't be sued again. There's a lot that we still need to figure out there, and at some point we'll have somebody on to talk about it. But I am hopeful that this calms things down, that we get to a system that's palatable from this, and maybe we will. But anything that's not collectively bargained with players is not settled. It's just not. It's just not settled. And I don't really understand where that line is coming from.
Spartan 18770 next. When the Big Ten accepted $8 billion from the networks, they lost all power of when to play, where to play, and what day to play. Soon, schools will be told what uniforms to wear for a game, who they can schedule for a game, and what players to start for a game. Hashtag fuck Peacock.
Peacock?
I mean, the networks run the conferences in a lot of ways right now, and that's the hard thing to stomach. But it almost has to be this way, because now you need this sort of influx of money coming in to pay the players, the revenue sharing that's coming down the pike. You need Fox telling Michigan State that it's got to play Purdue on a Friday night in November if you want to keep having a men's tennis team.
What?
I'm telling you, what I mean is like
Men's tennis has to take a hit.
Well, I wasn't a stray at men's tennis. I love tennis.
No, I know.
It's my sport. What I'm saying is a lot of if you're going to keep funding athletic departments without cutting sports, you are going to have to let the people have the money make some decisions. And those are the networks. And so that's
when things start to be ass.
And maybe they do. Yeah, and so maybe 7 years from now, all this it's a problem when you do your next TV rights deal because there are fewer eyeballs, fewer people going to games, people are turned off, and you get less money coming from the media rights deal, and then you got a problem. But that's down the pike.
Varsity softball dad next. It's amazing how little I give a shit about your work-life balance. The first time I'm inconvenienced by not having a pod to listen to on my long workday Tuesday. Glad you're back.
Appreciate you, varsity softball dad. By the way, varsity softball dad he lives in Maine. So he's a Maine man.
Okay.
And if you are ever headed to Maine.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to give his exact address.
No, it is a perfect place if you're going on vacation in Maine. Cool summer night, definitely in the fall, whenever it might be. Make sure you have your muskox flannel with you. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code HOFF. They have spring wear, which is a little bit lighter. I think even their heavy stuff is really breathable, very, very comfortable. And on a cool night on the beach, at a campground, wherever it might be, anywhere you are, Muskox is here for you. Again, gomuskox.com, promo code HOFF for $15 off your flannel purchase.
Sports Guy 1919 next. Sitting on a plane on the runway before it moves or taxis makes 15 minutes feel like 2 hours. Doing it with a squirmy 1-year-old makes it feel like 10.
Oy, yeah.
Makes everything like 10 hours, right?
Yeah.
Kids.
That is the worst, though, when you're just sitting there.
Kids? Yeah, kids are the worst.
No, I didn't mean kids. But yeah. No, yeah.
On a plane, kids are really the worst.
Especially if you got like I don't mind kids on a plane. They're I don't know. I don't mind kids the way you mind kids.
All right. KP, Bill Walton never inhaled, RIP. Bake Take, Baez will one day become a legendary hitting instructor.
Hey, it could happen.
So KP inhales all the weed then. Bill Walton never inhaled. That will never happen.
This is, so definitely a pure options take. I'll say this. If from all accounts, like a guy like Tum Tum Nairn is becoming a great college basketball coach. He's just been elevated to the associate head coach at Bowling Green for Todd Simons, who's a mid-Michigan's guy. And if Tum Tum Nairn, who can become a great offensive coach, even say, then Javi Baez can become.
Oh, okay. I was like, where is he going? I'm like, it's amazing how you tie shit together because I was like, what is he talking about?
Then Javi Baez can become a great hitting instructor.
I thought like you skipped somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Room temperature takes. I had a realization that we're stuck with Chris Ilitch for 30-plus years. Oh, no, 30-plus years, and the Tigers will never buy themselves out of this rebuild. We're going to need to get lucky in the draft to ever sniff a World Series.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all are fearful, right, of Chris Ilitch and what that means. Ultimately, this is the summer, not this summer, this offseason is the offseason that it's sort of confirmed or.
But what do we do about it? Do we stop watching?
Yeah, it's
do
the
we
problem.
Stop going?
Yeah, it's the problem.
T and I have talked about we go to a couple Tiger games a season. I'm like, I don't know if I want to give them my money. I don't know if I want to go watch this shit, to be honest. But then Matt Vierling hits another walk off, and I'm like, oh, okay.
After he strikes out.
Yeah.
I would love, and Ilitch is never going to do this, but I would love for Ilitch to open the books, because to me, unless I see you are losing money. And I see the ledger that shows the problem. If you're spending less than $300 million on a payroll in Major League Baseball, sell the team. You shouldn't be, sell the team.
But how about open your mouth? Like, open your books. It's never going to happen. But open your mouth, have a press conference, talk about this Bally's thing. When are we going to be able to watch the games again? What's the budget? Do we have to sit there and look at Javi Baez every fucking day? Like, those kind of things.
Well, they spent a lot of money on Baez, but yes.
Yeah.
Right. But yes.
Yeah, but you can make him go away.
Correct.
You spent a lot. You made a mistake. Now pay him to get the hell out of there, and your team can prosper from there on. I don't care who you put at shortstop, how many great behind the back plays he makes. It doesn't matter. Does it make your team better? No. Is he a part of the future? No. Are you getting value? Are you getting value as Chris Ilitch? Are you getting value out of Javi Baez?
Yeah.
He's hurting your franchise.
Well, and the frustration sounds like a lot of people have frustration with Tom Gores.
Sure,
but
he talks,
and nobody questions whether he's willing to spend to win.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's willing to.
He's just an idiot.
He's willing to pay Monty Williams $60 million to go away if Trajan Langdon wants that. After so and are you willing to pay Javi Baez to go away?
Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
At some point, or just
write it off.
Yeah.
Sell a couple more fucking pizzas. I mean, who cares?
Write it off. What show is that? Is that Write It Off? Is that Seinfeld or The Office? What am I missing? Damn it! Should have looked that up. No, it's not either. Hold on. Give me some off.
Hold on. Off. Jake Hawkins would know.
I am the passenger.
Absolutely. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates. Oh yeah. It's Seinfeld. It's Kramer. Kramer just write it off. They just write it off. It's a great.
What did you put in Google?
I put just write it off sitcom, and there was a lot of stuff on Schitt's Creek, but it eventually came up.
All right, Andrew Gauthier next. Not so hot take. Elizabeth and T are superior at customer service to their Couch in the Rube counterparts. In all seriousness, it was truly awesome to have them join Groovy Donuts at the Lugnuts 517 day game and Best of Lansing Fest. They are all incredibly generous and awesome people. Couch in the Rube plus spouses were the real donut heroes last weekend.
Mad respect to Andrew.
I'm just glad I could stay out of the way and let my wife crush it, get her water. She didn't use the bathroom one time. It's like, all right, what are you getting extra credit here?
That's impressive.
Making me look bad.
I right away, we were at the Lugnut Stadium. I realized, because we got there like 5 and unloaded everything, and I realized all of a sudden I haven't had dinner. I haven't eaten in like 5 hours, and I'm just staring at all these trays of donuts. I was like, I have to get a hot dog because otherwise this is going to go badly for everybody. And I just don't think it's a good advertisement for Groovy Donuts if there's just me with donuts all over my face eating like my 12.
Yeah, but it's better than having you angry and staring at donuts getting pissed off because you can't eat them.
The other thing that's coming up, by the way, is National Donut Day, and we'll get into that a little earlier.
Is that July? That'd be a great July topic.
It's June 7th. It's next. It's a week from this Friday. So, and Groovy Donuts is open later, open till I think 4 p.m. 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on National Donut Day. So just get ready for that at Groovy Donuts.
All right, Sunshine Spartan next. The Tigers' new uniforms are complete ass, and I don't care if they are 10-0 in them. Please stop. Bonus. Graham, if you get a chance to see Water for Elephants and the Notebook on Broadway, it's amazing. And Bake Take. The middle seat on a plane between two guy strangers is the worst thing ever.
It's the absolute worst. Oh, my God. It's just
bigger dudes? Like, dude, imagine me and Couch sitting on either side of you. Holy
God. God. And it's who gets the armrest, and it's not great. They really should, when you purchase your tickets and you look on the map on the airplane map, and you pencil in which seat you want, or there should be not only, I mean, we don't have to get into weights, you don't have to put your poundage on there, but it should be men and women. It should be signified, and kids. Frankly, you should know if a man or woman has that seat. Now, obviously, couples might not sit in the seat that was theirs, and you get a little screwed by, but you should know if it's a man or a woman who has that seat. I believe, because it's not.
How are you going to do the pronoun thing?
Well, I mean, just it does.
There goes your plan.
No, we can get around. I'm just saying, because that should be a warning that there's three men in this.
Explode. You tried that.
Three men in this aisle. That's not going to work for anybody.
So then you should have to put in weight then, because weight is a part of it. Come on, those seats are sometimes small, man. What are we doing?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That seems a little dangerous to start getting in that. And some people are built differently. Like, I have a big rib cage, but weight wise, I could be a little.
But your arms are short, so you're not going to use the rest arm rest.
So maybe you have to put in all your measurements, the whole deal.
I can see that happening.
Yeah,
and spirit.
By the way, Notebook and Water for Elements. Thanks for the recommendations.
Shep next. Imagine being one of the few big baller Vanderbilt donors, getting talked into giving $800,000 for third-party salary, a.k.a. 3PS, and then finding out your money was used for 1 year of A.J. Hogarth. Bonus take. Now that Graham is using 3PS on the pod and on Twitter, I feel like I finally contributed something valuable to society.
Appreciate you, Shep. I don't know if it was 800. I might have been more than that for Hogard. I heard the money was pretty big. I don't know. Maybe there's been reporting that it was $800K at this point.
Is it like did you hear that from Lorenzo Guess?
I did not. I heard it from people who would have knowledge of that situation and what he was getting.
Sounds inflated.
Yeah. It's what one of the things that Jonathan Smith has talked about, and like the transfers. And Jonathan Smith is. And I'm not speaking out of turn when I say this, but Jonathan Smith talked about. We had a meeting with him with a bunch of the writers and just sort of kind of a,
party.
No, it was just kind of get to know each other. It was effective. He was able to speak knowing that anything you really shared that was important, we weren't going to just write down and tweet out.
Comp, put your laptop away.
Well, we did have to. We had to blindfold Comp and put earplugs in. No, but one thing he mentioned that I don't think it would be. It's just the transfer portal. In football, for example, was probably more talented in December and January, but the money that guys are able to get now, and this is probably the same in basketball because there are fewer guys out there and teams get desperate. Right now is you're one of the last point guards available. If you're AJ Hogard, there's value in that. You get to use that leverage, and what AJ Hogard might have gotten a month ago versus what he got later is probably a little bit different, and Hogard's going to do well at Vanderbilt. He is. He needed to change his scenery. He's still going to be flawed, but he's going to be fine. He's a really good college point guard.
Mr. Benjen, now is the time. License team names and get schools out of the football business. Thus, the MSU Spartans will earn their actual university millions in naming rights. The new team will be owned and run like a pro team in its own league. Universities will be run by presidents, not football coaches.
Yeah, I don't know if you want football. I don't know if you want the MSU Spartans less affiliated with the college. Does that mean kids have to go to class? Does that mean they don't? The college experience, your shared love of MSU, and is part of the reason that this works. The whole thing works. I don't know that you want. I'm not saying.
But does it matter if they go to class or not? Like to the grand scheme of things?
To a lot of people, the idea that they're actually college students, that they're obviously that they share the same campus that you once did or that you do now or the same community and have the same feelings towards the university is something that's important. Now, we'll see how important as this goes along, but I'm not sure that separating football from the university is actually the smart way to go.
Money bag next. Other schools like Miami have the ability for fans to purchase things like jerseys and autographs directly on their roster, on their website. Why doesn't MSU do the simple things with NIL? That should be a no-brainer.
Oh, MSU, for its non-3PS third-party salary side of NIL, like the real NIL, has won awards and done well. So that stuff's been pretty good there. But this is a fair question. I'd have to look at what Miami's doing and
but it sounds like he says simple if you want to sell your jersey or
it's a good it's a good question.
Auto.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Mike Scott, college presidents who voted to eliminate the Pac-12 should be fired, forced to take basic economic classes, and must watch 100 hours of legendary broadcaster Bill Walton, RIP, talk about what the Pac-10 and 12 used to be. They are idiots who don't understand money, people, or life.
The loss of the Pac-12 is a travesty, and the greed and the stuff that the Big Ten and SEC have done in this capacity to be part of shaking down the Pac-12 and ending it, and then what the Pac-12 did to itself, and it's really sad. It really is, because if the Pac-12 had just had the football season it had last year, 2 years ago, I don't think any of this happens. I don't. I think they would have gotten the TV deal that they sought, or at least something palatable, and they would have been fine. So, it sucks, because one of the things we're losing too is, there used to not only be rivalries, but there was also a sense of community within a conference. Like nobody wanted. You might root against Purdue when they're playing your team, but nobody wanted Purdue to have the worst thing. I mean, there was a sense of common good, I just think a lot of that is gone, and the Big Ten has played a role in killing it.
Mike Scott, bake take from a non-baker who supports the rights of all responsible bakers. People who wish veterans a happy Memorial Day haven't taken the time to understand what the holiday is about and should be forced to commiserate with the idiot Pac-12 presidents and read about history.
Strong from Mike Scott there.
I guess so.
Yeah.
All right. Graham and Nito Couch, after watching the NHL playoffs split screen with the NBA playoffs this weekend, the NBA absolutely needs to figure out how to implement an embellishment foul and bake take. I need to see the final bid amount for this Alice Cooper cat sketch.
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know what that is. Do you know what this Alice Cooper?
No.
I wasn't.
Was there a picture attached
Yeah.
to the tweet?
There was. Hold on one sec. Give me some
What
water.
are you going to show me?
No, but I'm going to.
Oh, then you get lads.
I'm dreaming, I'm guided to another world, time and time again. At sunrise,
Okay.
I fight to...
So this is a story from the Detroit Free Press. Alex Cooper donates a cat drawing to Detroit Rescue Group for fundraising. So
Alice Cooper?
yeah, Alice Cooper did. Yeah.
He donated.
He donated.
Okay.
Yeah. So a small gesture from a big star could go a long way for the Detroit Rescue Group. Alex Cooper has donated a hand-drawn signed picture.
Alice.
What did I say?
I keep saying Alex Cooper.
I meant Alice. Sorry. I know who Alice Cooper is.
Show
How
some
did I do that?
respect.
Yeah, my bad. That's we'll fix that in post. Alice Cooper has donated a hand-drawn signed picture of a freaky feline to Michigan Cat Rescue, a modest volunteer organization that will auction the autograph piece to raise money for operations.
So
How much
he
is this gonna
just
go for.
He just drew this,
Yeah, it's like not even. It's
So-
like something a 3-year-old would draw. I don't really understand why.
and he signed it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, man, you ask him to do a favor. I guess could he just autograph a guitar or something, attach it to that, or
Yeah. I
You
mean, what? How much are they expecting this to go for?
what is for a kid? It's
Yeah.
a cat thing.
Okay.
I don't know. It's tough to shit on someone when you're like, "Hey, Alice, can we get you to do something for us?" And then he does it, and you're like, "What an asshole!"
It's probably
What is that?
it's-
Is that a cat? I was like, what if he was like, maybe I can't draw, but I'll do this if you want me to.
I'll donate my Bobby Higginson autographed baseball bat if it helps. I mean,
Wow, bidding up to $4.
Yeah.
Look at it, it's right here.
Yeah, it's worth more without the autograph.
Big John Hogg next. Number one, based on weekend travels, Metro Detroiters, the worst drivers, and make holiday weekends hell. Stay out of my up north town and I'll never visit yours. 2, Bill Walton passing after the last Pac-12 event is poetic. There will never be another one like him. And 3, Izzo wins title number 2 in 2 years. I can't wait that long.
Metro Detroit, yeah, I would not want to be in Metro Detroit over a holiday weekend. But, I wouldn't.
There's bad drivers everywhere, but yeah.
They do have a Pure Options location in Detroit, so if you're on your way there, that might be the one exception.
Spawn of stout sponsors next. I don't know if this is much of a take, okay? But my bonfire ready muskox with 50 mg's of Pure Options flowing after a Sunday brunch at Midtown Brewing Company was a nice way to spend the weekend. The thing better would have been an amazing visit to my friends at Hawaii Spa. Actually, hashtag Hawaii Spa.
I think he had some Pure Options before he finished it. Well done, Spawn. Appreciate you.
Hawaii Spa. We drove by Hawaii Spa. They changed the color of their building. Crazy.
Did they really?
Yeah.
What's it now?
I don't know. It was like red and white. I'm like, what happened?
What did it used to be?
I think it was blue.
Interesting.
And I think, yeah.
If any of our, you think,
But when you drive by it a lot.
if any of our listeners are frequent there's a Hawaii Spa, please let us know what's going on there.
Oh,
Change of
please.
management?
Please, story worth telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spawn of stout sponsors. I used to be a respectable, mediocre broadcaster in a middling and an insignificant media market, but after a terrific Asian fusion lunch on the patio at Front 43, my whole life turned around, okay? Free parking in the back. Tell him Jason sent you.
Appreciate you so
Dean.
much. So good.
The
so
Dean
good.
taking strays.
Yeah.
Hans Jurgen, number 1.
By the way, I am a pretty insignificant media person in this market, so I take a little bit of offense. I mean, I felt all of Fred Human.
Hans Jurgen, number 1. Krispy Kreme and Dunkin' Donuts are sending an army of lawyers to crush Graham and put his dreams under. 2. No one but Graham would live in the Great Lakes region if it were not for the summers. And 3. A coworker was telling me about her constant physical pain. I started advocating to her as a remedy for the use of marijuana products. I had heard about this on the show. She looked at me like I was a pothead. I blame the show. I used to be respectable. And bonus. As you can tell from my hot takes, I have no interest in the sports played at this time of year. I have no meaningful insight.
The
And it doesn't stop you with 3 takes and a bonus.
When you mentioned no one but Graham would live in the Great Lakes region, if not for the summers, one of the Bill Walton lines that I heard over the last day was, he said of California, he said if he loved the West Coast and he loved California, and he said if people had discovered California first instead of the East Coast, that the East Coast would still be a wasteland. Like nobody would ever try to go east. I mean, that was very much Bill Walton.
Jake Hawkins, I could say how the Tigers look. Let me start this again. Jake Hawkins. I could say how the Tigers look like they put together after looking pathetic, or how good the Lions record will be, or why bettors should take the over 4.5 wins for MSU football. But I'll say, how in the fuck did MSU hockey lose their top recruit to all places, Arizona State?
2 things. If you find 4.5 for MSU football, take it. I see 5.5 everywhere, and the line's moving up. So 4.5, people put that out there, but I don't know where you could bet it. I didn't see it. I would have told people to bet it. To answer your question on the hockey thing, though, the way college hockey works, it's that they don't have a place for that kid this coming season. Like college hockey is, and it's not like high school where a kid graduated, so now he goes to college. In hockey, it's like he's in juniors. Is he coming this year when he's 18? Is he coming next year when he's 19? And at Michigan State, the plan was not for this year. It was for like next year. He wanted to play, from what I understand, and this is a secondhand story, so I should be a little careful with that. Let me preface there. But from what I understand, he wanted to play college hockey now, and that wasn't, that wasn't in the cards at MSU. So he went somewhere else. That really was all, Plus, Tempe, Arizona in the winter ain't all bad either.
Yeah. Have you been to Arizona State, Jake? That's great.
Well, in the summer it's ass though. It's
but you're not there during the summer.
Well, you're there. You're there in September when it's 103 degrees.
There's air conditioning.
Yeah, you want to be in the air conditioning. Otherwise, it's just body odor and back sweat.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Sorry, no takes from me this week. I'm taking the week off.
Touche. Appreciate you, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Appreciate all of you for producing our show and sticking with us, and your, giving us your hot takes. Some really good stuff as always. We will be back later this week. We'll figure out the exact schedule after the show, as we often do. We appreciate Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com. Check out the location nearest you. Swing on by. Let them know Couch and the Rube sent you. And if you spend $50 or more, you get a free 1/8 of ProGrow, a terrific in-house brand. We appreciate our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Great Father's Day gift. Go to gomuskox.com. Pick out the flannel you think Dad would like today. And, of course, Midtown Brewing Company. Great place for any occasion. Go to midtownbrewing.net. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch and the Rube.